Hi, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap, and this is the Pure and Simple Remix Page Kit Workshop. So make sure you have the right collection here, paired with the correct instructions, and we'll have a great time together. I've got my kit here, and I'm going to start out by setting aside the ribbon collection that came in the box, as well as these cute little tags and other really fun small embellishments. We'll get those out of the way for safekeeping, and then let's go ahead and sort the papers we will be trimming into the correct order so that we can avoid errors down the road. Okay, so I'm going to take the entire stack of 16 sheets of paper that came in this collection, and I want you to find the print that has the 4 larger green squares. We're calling this the large green block print. I'm going to put that face down on my trimmer base, and then find the other print that has the black sprigs over here on the left edge and the smaller green blocks. Put that face down on your trimmer. Next, I'm going to have you find all 3 of the black plain papers that came in the box. So these are 1, 2, 3 sheets of this heavier weight paper. So make sure you've got those all, and we'll put those on our work surface. There is a right and a wrong side to this paper. That only matters at the end when you're gluing things down, but just I'm going to put a texture side down for now, and then take one piece of that nice bright green color, that nice spring green. Then 2 pieces of the sand colored metallic paper. So it's kind of like a taupey metallic, nice heavy weight with a smooth texture. Metallic. Okay, then for the Cutaparts, which we'll trim next, you're going to take the sheet that has this larger green strip on it, face down, and then the other printed Cutapart. That one will go face down. Next, let's take the other large green block print. So that's this one. Then a white linen. Next, the remaining 2 green planes. So that's that nice bright green, both of those. Next, the remaining 2 pieces of that white linen texture here. And then the small green block print. And the last should be the metallic sand. I'm going to flip that all back over again. So the large green block print's on top. Now I have my trimmer here as well as my accordion pocket file, so I hope you have one of these by now. If you don't, we can help you make one. We've got a starter kit for you online and a video workshop, and the lip of this fits just underneath the base of my trimmer, holding it vertical. And as we trim all these pieces, they're going to be filed into one of these 4 pockets. The one for layouts 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and so on. If you don't yet have this accordion pocket file, it's okay. Just keep 4 separate piles, and then I pray that you have a little bit more horizontal space than many of us do for our crafting purposes. Okay, now I'm going to take this first print here, and I'll place it in the trimmer so that the green blocks are in the upper right corner here. And I'm going to find 6 inches. And if this is the first time using this trimmer, just be aware that the centimeters are in the top row. So don't put it over here by the 6. Bring it over to the 6 in the middle of the base. Before you cut, just again, make sure you're flush up here and that you're pushing down on the clear bar and make your slice. Now you got 2 6x12s, and these are both going to be used in layouts 3 and 4. So I'll file those in the pocket. And just to point out that the width of the pocket is 12 inches. So is the paper. So I'm going to put it in at an angle so I can still see those page numbers on the left. Next, I'm going to take this piece and place it in the trimmer again so that it's basically feeling like it's right side up. In other words, those black flowers are on the left. And let's start out by finding 6.5. Okay, that's going to take us right to the edge of those blocks, maybe a little bit into them, but it's okay. And then slide down to 3.5. Now this piece will be placed in pocket 5 and 6 again at that angle. Then we have this piece that's kind of got a lot of nothing going on. We'll trim this into smaller squares. So start at 11, and then 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4, Now, if it's taking you a little longer to find those numbers, you can adjust your playback speed with YouTube by clicking on the gear button and changing it to 0.75. Now, after those cuts were made, I've got 4 squares the same size, all going into pocket 5 and 6. They're not quite squares. I think they're little rectangles. And then you do have a little scrap I can get rid of. And then this last piece is used as it is in pocket 5 and 6. And I'm going to go ahead and turn now to page 2 in my instructions. 4 more documents on this side, 2 more plus the Cutaparts. So we got a little bit to go. When you grab the next sheet on the pile, make sure you just take one. And this is that black plain with the linen. I'll trim at 11 1/4, 10 1/2, 6 1/4, then rotate and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. And that gives us 2 photo mats the same size going into pocket 1 and 2. Then you have this other rectangle. We'll trim at 6 and 3. This gives us 2 more rectangles that are the same going in pocket 5 and 6. And then we did create a small scrap. The next widest piece we'll cut at 6 1/4. This one goes in pocket 1 and 2 with the others like it. And then the smaller rectangle of the 2, that is used in layout 5 and 6. We have 2 narrow strips here, pocket 1 and 2. Take the next sheet of the black and we'll continue on with trimming at 11, 10, and 6 1/4. Once again, we're going to make some photo mats. So let's trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. You've got 2 rectangles here going in pockets 7 and 8. Same thing we're going to do with that narrow rectangle is we'll cut at 6 and 3. And you've got 2 more smaller rectangles, also 7 and 8, and another little scrap. Okay, now we have this long narrow piece. We'll trim at 10 and 7 1/4. This long skinny piece is used in layout 7 and 8. This rectangle, 1 and 2. This smaller rectangle, we're actually going to trim it at 2 1/2 and place that in pocket 3 and 4. This is a scrap. And then the long strip here, this one of them, 1 and 2, the other in 5 and 6. And now finally, the third sheet of black paper. We'll trim at 11 3/4. That's going to create a tiny little strip. And 10 1/2, 9 1/4, and 5 1/2. Rotate and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. You made 2 pieces of the same size. Those are for pocket 3 and 4. Then the next rectangle we'll trim at 3 1/2 to form a square. That goes in 3 and 4. And then you have another small rectangle that we'll trim at 2 1/2. Also going in pocket 3 and 4, creating a tiny little scrap at the end. Then this next strip we'll trim at 11 1/4, 9 3/4. Be careful, they're 9 3/4. We don't do that number very often. And then this long skinny piece goes in pocket 3 and 4. This little rectangle, we're actually going to trim it at 3 and 1 1/2. That makes 2 squares for us. Notice I'm still using my index finger to hold that paper in place while I make the cut. And that gives me the 2 squares going in pockets 7 and 8. And then we have this narrow strip and then a small rectangle. Both of those are scraps. Next, these 2 wider pieces both go in 3 and 4 along with the narrow strip. So all of that 3 and 4. Moving on to the single sheet of green that we're going to trim. 9 3/4, and 6. Rotate the 6 by 12, and we're going to create 3 pieces the same size. To do that, we'll cut at 8 and 4. And here are 3 4x6s. They're all going to go in pocket 1 and 2. And then you have this next strip. We'll cut at 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. All right, let's pick up everything we just trimmed just now, and 2 of these rectangles. So there's 3 rectangles in a square. So 2 of the rectangles go in 1 and 2. The other rectangle, 5 and 6, and the square, 3 and 4. This wide strip, 7 and 8. And we've arrived now at page 3, and we're going to take 1 piece of the sand. Make sure you only have 1 of the sand metallic, and cut this one at 9 1/2 and 4. Rotate the 4-inch piece and cut at 6. So that's just cutting it in half to make 2 pieces the same size. These are 4x6s, and they're going to go in pocket 7 and 8. Next, take this guy. He's pretty wide. He's 5 1/2 by 12. Our first cut here is at 9 3/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Okay, taking the 2 rectangles, we'll put them in pocket 3 and 4. And then you have these other 2 rectangles. They're pretty skinny. We're going to trim them both at the same time at 2 3/4. That gives us 4 rectangles, all the same. Those go in pocket 3 and 4. This next strip we'll trim at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. You've made 4 pieces. They're rectangles that are the same, 5 and 6, and then you do have a little scrap. This is the last sheet of plain paper we'll trim today, and this is at 8 3/4 and 5. Rotate and cut at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. Gather up the 3 rectangles that are the same, pocket 5 and 6. You do have a small scrap here. And then you have your next sheet. Same, we're going to do the same cuts. 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Once again, these 3 pieces are squared and filed in pocket 1 and 2. And you do have that other little scrap. Boy, lots of scraps today. Sorry about that. Okay, then this one's at 9 1/4, the last strip here. 6 1/2 and 3 1/4. So you have 2 squares. Put one in pocket 3 and 4, the other in 7 and 8. And then the remaining 2 rectangles also go in 7 and 8. Now we've arrived at these cut-aparts. So for my beginners, just to mention to you that there is this intersecting sign here at the corner that indicates where I want the edge of the blade on my trimmer to go, and I'm going to remove the outside perimeter of this piece here to turn it into a 12 by 12. And we have just found that when you do this last little trim, it's more accurate. So when I line this up as nicely as I can here, give that a little trim, then I'll rotate and work my way around the entire piece. And especially after I made my first cut, I can see both at the top and bottom corner of my blade where that blade edge meets the mark. Now, if you cut a little generously, of course, you can always just go back and fine tune that cut with one last little shave. And I do that often. I just kind of try to get it to be a nice 12 by 12. And you can get rid of all those little scraps. And then we'll rotate back to the point where this green border strip is on the right, and our first cut's going to be at 10. Allow all those pieces to pile up there, and we'll file them once we get to the last item here. 8. Just trimming these into separate pieces. 7 1/4. 6 1/2. And 3 1/2. Now rotate this section so the enjoy the little things is on your right. That's the smallest piece, and we'll cut at 9 1/2. Take this large piece that goes in pocket 3 and 4, and this other piece 5 and 6. Now this is a nice easy cut. 9, 6, and 3. It makes 3 equal sized pieces. So 9, 6, 3. All right, wish, pocket 3 and 4. Hope, pocket 7 and 8. Peace, pocket 5 and 6. And then this last square goes in 7 and 8. And I'm going to pick up the remainder of the pieces and hold them in my hand so they're easier to deal out into the pockets. This strip, 1 and 2, the one just like it, 5 and 6. This piece, 7 and 8. And then chase your dreams, 1 and 2. The final sheet of Cutaparts, once again, removing the outer perimeter by lining up that plus sign or registration mark, as some might call it, with the edge of that blade. Work your way all around. You can pause me while you do that. Okay, so now turn back so that this leafy strip is on your right. We'll cut at 11, 10, 9 1/2, 9, 7, and 3 1/2. Rotate. Cut at 9 1/2 and 7. 7-inch piece goes in pocket 7 and 8. And here we have a tag shape, and I do like to take care of those right away. I just place the tag next to the blade, bring the handle of the trimmer all the way down, and then try to match the angle or match the reveal past that edge, past the border with the others, and then just chop off the corners. You can maybe do this a little more accurately with a craft knife and a ruler. It's totally up to you. Okay, this tag goes in pocket 5 and 6, and this one 1 and 2. Then I'll take the next strip here, and we're going to start out with these leaves on this side, 9 1/2, 7, 3 1/2. This goes in pocket 3 and 4, then 1 and 2, another tag shape, so I'll quick remove those corners. It only takes a second, and as long as the trimmer is out, we might as well get those done, right? That goes in 1 and 2, as does the last rectangle off that strip. Now, we have all of these little words here, so I'm going to trim each one, and they're going to end up being 1/2 inch. So I'll start out at 11 1/2, and as you can see, by chopping the shortest pieces off the edge of the strip first, I have a lot more to hang on to and a lot more, I can level this out more easily. Then 11, 10 1/2, 10, 9 1/2, 9, and all the way down to 4 1/2. Okay, now we're going to rotate and clip those corners again. So angle that up, adjust as needed. I usually close one eye so I can see better. Works really well. And then this one goes in pocket 5 and 6. The next one in 7 and 8. Now I did assign these words. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're pretty interchangeable. I believe they landed this way. So bliss is 1 and 2. Wish and peace in 3 and 4. Joy in 1 and 2. Lucky in 5 and 6. And then this last one, hope in 7 and 8. I think that's right. If it's not, again, they're so tiny, it doesn't really matter. Then I picked up the remaining strips here. Both of these box strips go in 1 and 2, and both of the floral leafy ones, those go in 3 and 4. That, my friends, was it. That's all the trimming required from 16 sheets of paper, plus the Cutaparts that will help you create 8 pages. Now, I know I have a few more scraps than usual. I'm sure you could probably find a home for all of these, but just to point out, this is it. These are the only scraps that you do have in the making of 8 pages from 18 sheets of paper, which to me is pretty amazing. So I'm going to dispose of these and swap out my trimmer. Be careful when you do remove your trimmer that's holding up your file folder. So if this is on the edge of a table and you pick up your trimmer, everything just will fall onto the floor, just as a little warning. Now it's time to dry fit our pages. We're generally not going to be using the ribbon at this time, just working with the paper elements, maybe throwing in a few tags here and there. And we're also going to be working from back to front, or bottom to top. So that means we're going to begin on page 5, working with layouts 7 and 8. And this is the entire remaining stack of paper. So take that whole thing and put the whole entire stack to the left of your center of your workspace and slide the top sheet over. So now you have this large block print on the right and you have the white linen on the left. And if you look in the instructions, the first 2 ingredients in every list include the names of the paper used as the base. So the white linen is the left base and the large green block print is the right base. To find everything that fits on this page, it should all be located in pockets 7 and 8. So I take everything out. You see that little hope way down in there. One more little rectangle, take it all out. And what I do like to try, oh, this guy is from a previous project. We can set that aside. And I'm gonna pick all this stuff up and put it in my hand, because as you can see here, even just watching me struggle to pick up each individual piece, it just doesn't work as well. If you deal it out of your hand, it's a little easier to kind of rifle through and see what you've got. All right, how about across the bottom of this page? We're gonna start out with this wide green border strip here. I hope you can see that okay. And then I'm gonna nest this on top of it, the piece. There are 2 larger sand photo mats that go above it. And then this skinnier black piece should go right here to the left of it and will nest with this larger cut apart here. And then there's a journaling prompt, that's this one, and that goes, just tucks right underneath that to make a little grouping. And we top that off with a little leaf-shaped tag topped with the word hope. And then we have the hope circle. You can trim this out with scissors, or if you happen to have a thin cutting die, you could always use a die cut for that process. Then on the right side of the layout, I'm going to take this square Breathe in the Beauty and nest it onto the sand metallic piece. And that's going to go up into the corner here. And then I have 2 overlapping angled black photo mats here. Now down in the lower right corner, we're going to take 2 vertical black mats and 2 vertical sand. I do think I dropped one of my black squares. And that's why we do this dry fitting thing. You know, if we misplace a piece, we'll come across it eventually. Oh, actually, it was still in the pocket. There's my other black square. And I went with the squares just because of the motif in the collection has a lot of squares, and thought that'd be a fun way to avoid having a scrap there. And here we have layout 7 and 8 kind of placed out and ready to go. To explore the finishing touches here, those silver leaves that are in the kit, I just adhered a whole row of them here. It's very eye-catching, and I used bookbinding glue to attach them to the layout. I made a small loop of the satin ribbon, and what surprises me so much about this is that I was able to find pretty much the exact color in ribbon as we had in the paper, which is phenomenal. On layout 7, I took those mosaic tiles that are included as goodies in the collection, and I glued them to just random tiles in the set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And the number you have may vary. Poor Deb, you know, she had to package all these little things, with the little leaves, the little sequin flowers, and the little tiles. Oh, she must hate me. Anyway, but they're just so perfect for this kit, right? And then here I took that word hope that I showed you, and I just cut around it with scissors, and I even created a tiny little sand metallic mat from one of my scraps for that, and then topped the end of the tag with a little loop of ribbon, and then I made a small knot in the ribbon and attached it to the top of the tag. Now here I have 2 pieces of ribbon stretched out across the page that are interlocking here. So basically all I did was took this color, this beautiful metallic, and I folded it in half and kind of judged where do I want that knot to be. And I kind of wanted it to be, the loop of this knot to be right about here. So you just have to make sure that the ribbon will reach past the edge of the page so I can secure it at the back. So I'm just going to trim this just to kind of show you. And then I can take the green twill. This is another beautiful favorite of mine. And then kind of make sure the loop, after I fold it in half, will sort of overlap a little bit, plus enough to wrap around the corner of the page. Then what I would do is adhere this to the back of the layout, adhere the ends, and loop the second ribbon through, and you just give it a little tug. Watch this. And then you have your 2 ribbon embellishment. Isn't that cool? Love this. I'm gonna leave it right here for now. For when we go back and assemble the pages with adhesive, you do not need to watch me do that. It would be boring. And I am against boring. Now I'm going to take this linen piece and slide it over on top of layout 8. And then we have the green coming across. And now we have the base for layouts 5 and 6. If you look in your instructions right here, the green is the base of each of those. And then I can take my pocket labeled 5 and 6, take everything out. Look at these really big pieces in there. Get everything out of there and fill it into my hand. This wide piece is going to go across the top here. It's going to be flush with the edge. The other long piece with the black sprouts on the end, leaves, this goes on flush with the left edge. And then you see a black narrow strip here. That is not paper. That is actually ribbon. So we have a plentiful amount of this beautiful granulated ribbon. I'll stretch that across. Make sure I have at least 14 inches, so an inch to wrap around the page itself. And then we can lay that across here so that, remember, the ribbon goes to kind of switch from the print to the plain here. I also added the ribbon going across in this direction as well. So if that's perplexing you, that might be what you're missing. So just keep in mind the ribbon. Then I can take this black strip, place it right here, nested with the printed strip. Above, or below that rather, in this open area, we should be able to fit perfectly 3 sand metallic photo mats. And that's why we did all that trimming at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Those 3 numbers, when we just trim that from a 12-inch strip, they create a small scrap from the metallic, but then they allow me to spread those photos out in a row with equal spacing on all sides. Gives it a really nice finished touch. Okay, on the left side, we have our horizontal black photo mat. And then up here, we're going to use one of the tags, more ribbon. We'll suspend from that after we punch a hole. Let's see, there should be a green rectangle. That's going to place that up here. And then 2 smaller black rectangles for smaller photo mats. I noticed how this just tucked right in there next to that square. I thought that was kind of cool. Then you should have 4 white rectangles. Those are going to be placed kind of above. Look how they fit in there, again, like puzzle pieces. I love that. And there should be 4 of these sand metallic rectangles that nest right inside. So the white kind of makes it pop off the page a little bit. Then a journaling prompt here and the word peace, circle cut. And if you have a little tag, you can put the word luck on this along with some stapled ribbon. So let's talk about that page, the finishing touches. Here, the only extra thing I did in addition to the ribbon was to add 2 little sequin flowers with bookbinding glue to the page. If you happen to have like a mini brad you would like to use, that would work as well. A really mini brad. Then more of those cute little flowers attached to this tag. Punch a hole in the top, thread the hole with the ribbon, and tape the ends around to the back. It's a nice lump-free way to add a tag. I did mount the tag, however, with foam adhesive circles, and that just kind of adds a little pop. This too is added with a real low profile foam adhesive. Just when you're adding this and overlapping, make sure you don't have adhesive. That would prevent you from sliding a picture underneath there. I've got mine set up so that you can slide your picture in. So just keep that in mind. Here I punched a hole first into the tag and made a loop of ribbon with it, taped the ribbon to the back, made a separate bow and attached it. I still find that's a more low profile way to add a bow. Stapled a 2-inch piece of ribbon to the edge of the tag with the word luck on it. And that's it for layouts 5 and 6. Okay, so now we do the slide over. So I'm going to take the green, slide, and then the white, slide. And in front of you then, you should have 2 white. And going to page 4, we're looking at the bottom because again, we're working backwards. And we'll take everything out of pocket 3 and 4 now. And we got those 2 large pieces. Maybe we'll start with those. And we have all of these others down in there. Make sure you don't leave anything for the next project like I did with that purple piece. And I'm going to reach down in here and get the word peace out of it. Oh, goodness. All right, this large strip is going to go vertical in the left, flush with the left edge. This piece, however, will be horizontal in the middle-ish. It's kind of in the upper middle of the base here. Above that, I'm going to add a black strip, and I'm going to add one below as well. This other really skinny black strip is going to separate the print from the plain, just right with the edge. You should have some leafy border strips to nest onto the black pieces. And then 2 black photo mats that'll fit right in the opening. Look at that. Lovely. Gotta have this exposed still. Across the bottom of the left page, you're gonna have this wide mat that should fit with this journaling prompt and photo spot. And then you should have 2 sand metallic that fit right in there like a puzzle piece. Makes me so happy. Now, with the large green square, nest it there. And we have a little black leaf with the word wish added and some stapled ribbon, of course. Let's see what's happening here. This should nest with the other sand metallic square. You can place that over here. The wish circle right there. Then across the bottom, we're going to take 4 of these sand metallic pieces, 2, 3, and 4. They fit there so nicely. 2 of them get a black nest if you'd like, and 1 more tag pairs with the word peace down over here. Finished page touches include, again, the stapled ribbon, a 2-inch piece, fold it in half and staple it. I used a mini stapler that I just got from the office supply store, and then 2 silver sequins, silver leaves with bookbinding glue. On the other side, this one I accented with the flower sequins rather than the leaves. Still used bookbinding glue to attach it. Another piece of folded ribbon. This element and the square are both attached with foam adhesive circles. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. All right, moving right along, my friends. I'm going to take the white, layer it over here, and 1 more slide. And we should have the base for layouts 1 and 2 in front of us. And our last pocket of stuff. We're going to empty. Nice. Okay, let's see how this comes together now. We've got across the top this beautiful border strip. I attached some of those mini mosaic tiles to this. The rest of what you have can go there. I have a nested, a smaller black border strip that nests with the smaller blocks here. I left a little space, And then a wider black strip goes at the bottom with that other printed, the Follow Your Bliss, okay? Let's see, this final black piece right about there, nested again. And speaking of nesting, here we've got these 3 black pieces. They should fit so nicely. And then we have the green ones that layer on top, give it a really nice contrast between the two. Okay. The final black rectangle nests with the journaling prompt tag. So once you get this adhered, repeat the little corner clip process, punch a hole in the top, thread it with some of the green twill, and order of assembly will matter. I actually brought the ribbon up, brought it underneath this pretty border strip here, and taped the ends to the back. I'll show you more in a second. Along the side here, we should have 2 green rectangles with 2 little elements here. If you have a lot of pictures, put a picture in on top of the white embellishment. These should not take priority. Your photos take priority with all of your pages at Club Scrap. Anyway, photos are number 1, but we like to make them pretty, don't we? Then we have this relax, and we have 2 tags left. So you can take the word joy and place it right in there. And again, if you need that spot for a picture, that takes priority. Then the word bliss over here on this tag in the lower left. Let's take a peek at the finals. Once again, I embellished this with the metallic silver leaves. If you're going to use that spot for a photo, that's fine too, but now I don't have to have a photo for that spot, which is nice. Right behind here, that little special touch is that gorgeous 7/8 inch metallic ribbon. Here, 3 little flower sequins glued on. I did, again, matte the word joy with some of the sand metallic I had left over. So if you did pitch that, if you want to use it to matte the words, just to add a little, you know, a little something to it, you can do that. And then finally, this is it. This is layout 1. Like, we're done. We're done hanging out. I've got the silver leaf right here with the bliss. I didn't put any ribbon on for some reason. I don't know. I had plenty going on here, I guess. Added some leaves over the top of the printed element here, which really added a lot, I think. And then I hope you can see how cool the addition of the mosaic tiles is to just random 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 9 little mini tiles were glued onto this just to add some cool dimension to page 1. And there you have it. Now, if you want, you can stack this on top here, neaten everything up, and slide it into a project bag that probably came in. And you can then adhere things down when you're in the mood. Like, let's say you're out of time now. You don't have time to stick everything down. No big deal. Load this into a bag, come back to it. Every piece will be with every page. Keep your instructions in the bag as well, so that you can see exactly how these get put together. Keep your ribbon and all your embellishments handy. And then you can do this when you don't have to concentrate so hard. And my advice too is, if you're going to be attending a crop, do this part at home in the peace and quiet where you can concentrate. Load your bags up with all your projects. Go to a crop. All you need to bring, and I've seen what people bring to crops, okay? All you need to bring are your prepped pages, a bunch of adhesive, a few other odds and ends like a punch and a stapler maybe, and a brick of photos. And you will be the most productive person at the crop. I guarantee it. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and I hope you enjoyed the Pure and Simple Page Kit Remix.